Hey guys, welcome back to another exciting episode of YOML. As you all know, this is the year magical learning. We are actually on book 175, a good round number. Today we want to talk about one of the core values that we place in company as one of the most important things, the center of everything. I'll let Chris introduce it and we can talk.
Yeah, this is a interesting. Did you read this book? I asked you to read it, I think, after I read it. Do you remember?
No, I don't think I read it. I didn't read it.
That's okay. I mean, it was I didn't know. I remember after I read this book, I think it was one of those that I sent you, and I was like, it's like I feel like you should read this because I feel like it was a pretty aligned with what we were
Maybe we'll have to see
what we're doing. But
if it jogs
yeah,
my memory.
that's okay. The book is called Off Balance: Getting Beyond the Work-Life Balance Myth to Personal and Professional Satisfaction by the author Matthew Kelly. Matthew Kelly, if you remember him, he was back early on in our year of magical learning discussions. He was one of the Resisting Happiness book. That was the 10 minutes a day can change your life, a reflection, about just spending some time in reflection every single day and the compound effect that happens after, more and more. So this was another Matthew Kelly book. He's actually written a lot of books. Obviously, I started this book because the title alone, I was looking for books about balance and work-life balance. That is the mission in a lot of ways.
It's
Not,
balance. I want to see where you go with this.
So no, I know. And also we've agreed as time has gone on, the word work life balance is not the word that we want to talk about, which we'll probably get into in the conversation as we go into it, because I agree, like the language around how work-life balance is even perceived in this world is a problem, because like people are like, it's not possible. And I agree. I think that we all agree that it's not possible. We should use a different word to talk about what we're talking about with this, right? And we'll talk about this in the reflection. But the reflection title of this book is Balance is Everything. So the book is literally about, Matthew Kelly exploring work-life balance and like how to obtain it and how to not
work-life balance.
actual work-life balance, right? Like, yes. And his thing is he doesn't believe in work-life balance, right? Because
and neither do we.
I think we all can agree that doesn't really work. But the book's about how to try to find your own balance in your work and life kind of thing,
Right.
not necessarily, whatever. Anyway, to get the point. It was an interesting book. I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty in line with a lot of the stuff that we talk about. But at the end of the day, as the title says, balance is everything. So as you know, because that was how we connected initially. I don't know if you remember back to August of 2020, like when you and I first started talking about stuff. Like this was probably the number one topic that we talked about from day one. This was the first thing that you and I talked about, was like, we want to find a way to build an organization and a culture that's centered around helping people to live a balanced existence. Now, that has taken many shapes over the duration of our relationship, but the mission is still the same. It's all about how can we, in our own lives and help the culture that we want to build's lives, and help the businesses that we want to generate's lives, to have balance and to live a fulfilling, meaningful life with balance at its core. And as time has gone on, balance has become, I don't really rank my core values, but if I was going to rank my core values, I would probably say endure is number one, just because that's the first track that Amelia taught me on this journey that I found from her.
Like I said, it can't be number one as endure because you cannot endure something that's not balanced.
I agree. It's like it's tough for me because like Amelia is so important to me.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's interdependent. You can't say, well, this is better than the other. Well, it just depends on where you are, that circle in the racetrack that I keep mentioning, right?
It's the yin and yang of both. Endure and balance are, you're right. It's tough. But if I was going to rank my core values, balance would definitely be one of those top core values. For me, balance is everything. It's harmony, it's unity, it's alignment, it's stability, it's sustainability, it's art, it's flow, it's meaning, it's everything, right? Balance is what we strive for in all that we do. I don't think it's obtainable. And that's the fun about it. You're always constantly leveraging multiple different areas of your life. When one thing gets off track, balance it out over here. You got to do this. Like, you'll never ever be there. Like, you'll never ever get to a nirvana balanced state, right? But I don't think you want to be there personally. I think that the striving for that is the fun of all of this. That's why you challenge yourself. That's why you go outside of your, that's why you leverage the other core values that we have and try to keep them all going at the same time. All the little spinning hats, or spinning balls on a stick or something like that. And anyway, so that's why I love balance so much. It's not easy, but it's so fun to try to maintain that and to juggle all those balls. But the interesting thing about this particular book is how we apply that We're not really here to talk about balance today. It's really more about how we apply that to this world. In my opinion, every single person should have a fundamental right to meaningful work, balanced life of meaningful work and meaningful relationships. This particular book was more focused on the work-life balance of actual work, of what we call work, like going to a corporate office, that kind of thing. So this book was more focused on that. And there was this scenario where this leader in this organization that Matthew Kelly was talking about, he was a great leader. His boss, the CEO of the company, calls him in and he's like, look, you're an amazing leader. He was like, I want to offer you this really high level position in the organization. I think you'd be a great fit for it. The guy thought about it, and he decided the company came back a couple of days later and he was like, look, I'm sorry. I really appreciate you offering me this role, but I have to decline. And he was like, why would you decline? He goes, I know I'm not going to be the best fit for you. He was like, I really personally care about my own values and I want to make sure that I do my best to live that every single day. And I know that doesn't necessarily align with the business's values overall all the time. And I don't want to put you in a tough spot where I can't fulfill the needs that you need from like an organizational perspective, because that's just, it's not going to happen. I'm always going to make sure that I put my values first before I, put other things first. The boss goes, ironically, that's exactly why I want you in this job, because I want you to be able to, to have that mindset and to keep us and to keep people focused like that, exactly what you're doing, because I know that if you're doing that, same thing that we talk about all the time, right? Mm-hmm. Thing is this employee was like, holy shit, like, are you kidding me? Like, that's what you want me to do? And this is a real story. Like Matthew Kelly does like a lot of executive coaching and things like that. And that's what he was talking about in this book. So this employee then goes and starts to tell other employees about like what he just talked about with the boss. Like, he lets me do this stuff. Like, he lets, I get to be you can bring your values into your job and you don't have to be afraid of that. Like, you can try to be yourself in this world. And everybody in these meetings, when he would present this stuff to other people in his organization, this guy would go, the whole meeting everybody that's listening to him present this is, dumbfounded by this. I can't believe this. You're encouraging me to try to be myself. And I am on the other end of this, listening to this whole thing and consuming this. I'm face palming myself going, the sad fact is that this is not the norm, right? The fact that this is something where everybody is going, oh, holy shit, like, this is crazy, because we're all have this mentality when we go into this work world of, it's all about the culture and the business and it's 100% dedicated to them. And it's like, you got to check yourself at the door all the time, right? And that sucks. Like, it really sucks. Do you ever want to have a balanced life? You cannot disconnect yourself from the work that you do and the people you surround yourself with. It'll never work. You'll never, ever have any chance at even playing the game, let alone trying to find balance in this whole entire environment. So for me, as I was listening to this book, that was the biggest lesson that I took away, is like, everybody deserves a chance to live a balanced life. Everybody does. It shouldn't be counterculture to say that I deserve that. It should be the culture, in my opinion. It should be everything that we've been talking about, in my mind, of building a world where people can strive for balance and bring their own unique self into what they do every single day. And that's the only way that's ever going to work. Like, it's the only way you can ever feel fulfilled as a human is if you are able to show up and bring yourself out, and share that with the world. Like, I mean, that's just my thoughts. So yeah, I'd love to kind of throw it your way, because I'm sure you have a lot of thoughts about this, but what does balance mean to you is the question that I asked.
I think over the years, the word balance has changed its meaning for me personally, because I think the word balance, we've been anchored by what society denotes it to mean.
Right.
And I think for me, the word balance is not so the word balance means to me is, hey, I work a little bit, I have a little bit of time for my exactly. I mean, so that's what the word means. But for me now, the word balance to me, it isn't a state of where you are destined, right? It's not a destiny. Hey, I'm going to get to the point where I have both 50% work or 50% this or whatever. To me, the word balance is a concept.
Yes.
Right now, it's a concept because there's no such thing as having achieved a state of destination. It's about a state of being. Because for me, it's like, when I'm thinking about balance, it means to me that I'm able to have the things on the left and the right and the front and the back that basically kind of equalize to one another. Meaning, like, if something is tilting to the left a little bit, I'm gonna put it over to the right. So it's a state of trying to hold up this dynamics of what I call life. So to me, it's that concept of doing something to receive a state of having the adjustment.
Yes.
So balance isn't like, hey, I got to that point and balance is like, okay, I'm at center of my gravity, and if something on my outer left is heavier or lighter, then I will tilt to the right a little bit more. And it is the act versus the destination where you say, hey, I got to that point, right? So it's an act rather than a thing, rather than some place you have. So that's to me what balance means now. It's like, can I be able to hold these things in check, right? Whether I'm going too far
how
to
do you hold
left.
it?
Exactly. I mean, these are your faculties. These are your ability to be able to adjust. So to me, that means that I'm able to adjust because, for example, it's like you and I have different schedules, and whenever schedule goes different, I mean, I'm adjusting it as if there's nothing happened because. So for me to balance, it's like do it naturally, like walking. Like you and I stand on 2 feet. That's balancing, but we don't notice it because our brains is actually making the adjustment left and right. Let's say the wind blows a little bit. You don't feel like you're off balance at any time because your body, your muscle has been compensating for it. So you get to that point where the act of balance itself becomes like because it's so effortless at that moment. So to me, achieving the balance, that's what I feel is balance to me, if that makes sense. So for me, I think the word has changed its meaning, and maybe the word balance isn't the right word to
harmony,
kind of express, right? It's the harmony, it's the center of gravity, because when you at a center of gravity, you feel anchored, you feel at peace, you feel like, hey, everything else, it's completely, I guess, equalized in itself. Just like I'm standing up, right? I'm standing up, and because no one can stand on 2 feet without having their muscle trying to adjust at every single micro movements, right? Because you just can't stand. That's why you can't take a inanimate object like a toy, whatever, and stand on 2 feet, right, without having some kind of an anchor. And then yet you have the dynamics of things around you, but maybe a wind or maybe somebody is trying to pass you, right? You get off balance so easily, but because we have been trained for so long that our adjustment becomes so effortlessly that we don't even feel that we're off balance. Even if we're walking past somebody or somebody walking past us, or maybe we saw a fly coming in and we can dodge and still not losing balance and not even feel like there is an off balance.
Yeah, I agree. It's a tough word. Balance encompasses a lot of things. One word, right? It's like unpacking that. It's a little dimension all over the place of what balance is. Like you said, it's like running downhill. You know it when you have it, or not have it, but when you're in a state of equilibrium and balance. And you also know when you're not. You know when everything is just all fucked and you're all over the place and your brain's all scattered. Like when you're talking about your example of walking, just in general, if you have vertigo, I mean, it's disorienting as hell. It's frustrating. Yeah, you can keep going forward, but every step sucks. Every day,
it's so much effort into it. But the thing is, the state of balance, the act of having balance. So it's having balance is having the ability to act in a way that is adjust your center of gravity, right? Things adjusting to your center of gravity without a lot of effort, without noticing effort. That to me, that's what I think of when I hear of the word balance, and the core value is balance today versus what we started with, in the beginning. Hey, work-life balance, because that's all we knew was, hey, you shouldn't be working like 80 hours and not having any time for yourself, your family. That's where I started. But I think going through this journey, for me, the word balance is it's just that, and it's what to me is you're talking about the ranking of values, and so for me, it's in terms of ranking your value isn't really applicable to this concept of balance, because to me, balance is like your centers of an orbit. You have the other,
they're all important.
I guess, other core values like intermingle into that orbit. So it depends on where you are and what you need. The core value apply more or less depending on the externality. Because we talked about externality before, meaning like, hey, if you had a certain state of mind, or you need certain things. So a certain core value will actually elevate itself to become more important than the other ones, and vice versa, depending on what stage of the period of time that you're in that you need to bring out the tools to make the adjustments.
Agreed. I don't even know that we should even call balance a value. I think it's a state. Like, and you use, like, if you're sitting in the middle of a platform, like some days I may need to push on my challenge value more to like balance
Right.
the rest of, like, it's more like, I don't know that it's a value. I value it, but I don't know that balance is a value.
Belong to the core values or the principle and category, because it isn't a thing in itself, right? It's an act. Meaning,
Right.
once you have a balance, it's not like, hey, I got it, right? No, because it's always changing and you're always adjusting, and the ability to adjust is what I call balance.
Yes. When I think of my personal core values, balance is always there as a through line under everything, but it's never expressly I don't wake up and say, I need to balance. I don't know what that would even mean. What I do is I need to learn something. So I learn something. Then I'm like, okay, I'm good with that. Now I need to go challenge myself. I need to go exercise. Or now I need to go reflect and get that out. Now I need to put, like, like I'm a little tilted this way, learn too much. Now I got to tilt back on this way. Now I got to do this.
Exactly.
But it's never.
I think it's
Exactly.
a platform that you're on, and that platform has levers on it where you say, hey, I'm going to press some of these learning a little bit because I've been overweight on the learning. I need to go to the other side and do some more of the enduring, or do some more of the challenge, or the other one is to make sure that it's not tilted too much to one side, and it always like adjusting, because you're going to go into one, it's going to tilt, and then that means that you got to go back up and go to the other one. So the balance isn't like one of the things level, like I imagine like sitting on a disc, right, on a gigantic disc, and then there's a bunch of like bars like on each like places around that disc, right? And I'm reaching for one, right? It's gonna tilt. And so the balance isn't one of the ball or the different core values on that disc. The balance is the disc itself that we are on.
Yeah.
So hey, I'm going to do a little bit more balance. You can't do something that's not right. You can't say, hey, I'm going reaching for the red ball.
You're always
the challenging, right? We're reaching for the blue ball, whether you say, hey, it's learning, or reaching for the yellow ball that's, enduring, or whatever it is. You can't reach for, because I think it's a disc that these balls are on, right? So it doesn't belong to the categories of the core values of like the enduring, the challenging, the learning, and the integrity and all that. We can't say, hey, I'm going to lean over more to this red ball to say, hey, I'm going to want to be more challenging. You can't just lean towards balance, because there isn't a ball called balance, because the balance itself is the whole thing that you're standing on. So that's why the balance isn't something that we say, hey, today I'm going to be a little bit more balanced.
Right. No, it doesn't at all. The sad part about the secondary commentary of what I was talking about in the reflection around this manager example, like everyone deserves the ability to even try to stabilize their own life, right? Like everyone deserves that ability to at least be on the platform and trying to push the right levers and whatever, and understanding that, like, so many people don't even understand that. Most people aren't even on that platform. They're literally on somebody else's platform, and they're like, I don't give a shit about balancing your shit. I have a life over here that I want to go balance. And that's when the whole work-life balance comes into play, because that's what we think. I agree with you. When you said earlier about where we started and where we're at now, that is all that we knew. That was the words. We knew what we were trying to say, but we wanted to bring ourselves into everything that we do, whether it's, the platform. One of the levers is meaningful work. And another one is meaningful relationships. Another one is your individual values. Another one is like, you're at the center of all of that. It is really, really interesting to take a peek back to 2+ years ago or whatever, to where we started this whole entire thing when we first connected on the concept of, we want to build a culture around helping people to find and maintain a balanced life. That's what we thought of when we said work-life balance. It's what we thought of. It has nothing to do with balancing work and life. It is all one. It's really just understanding yourself and balancing yourself throughout the course of all the things that you do. But the worst part about all this is most people aren't even on that platform. They're on somebody else's platform all the time.
You also imagine, even if you're trying to be on your own platform and somebody say, well, those core values that is balancing you right now, because you have your core values just around like this.
That doesn't fit on this one.
That thing, throw it away. That thing, imagine what happened to your disc of balance, right? Off balance, because
you're like a schizo.
Because you think about having your life, and like I said, a beaver must dam. So that means that you have certain core values that it pertains to that expression of being that beaver
Right.
or that fox or that hedgehog or whatever. And then certainly you say, hey, when you participate in this corporate work environment, you should take one of those balances, throw it away because you gotta leave it at the door.
Yeah.
And basically that's completely off. I mean, it's offset, off balance the whole entire disc, and you trying to lean on the corporate disc, which a lot of people are basically you're basically always completely trying to hang on to a corporate disc, balance disc,
Right.
where your is falling because you completely off, vertically off balance your own disc. So the only safe, I guess, the lifeline for you is to grab on and hang on to the balance disc of the corporate world, and then you're basically getting
Like
spinning.
you have like 1 foot over here and 1 foot, like you're like
Well,
straddling across discs,
because the other one is completely off balance because you were told to leave it at the door, it's thrown away. So you can't stand with 2 feet on your own disc. So you have to kind of lean on the other one and hang to dear life to the corporate disc. This is where you completely become stressed out because that is collapsing, and you hang on to this particular disc that you can't even control because there's a bunch of other people pressing on their own whatever core values that they think they should be working on. And so you are at the whim of these masses, right? The corporate core value and however they want to say, hey, I think this year we should do more challenging, more learning, more working, more earning, more whatever. So they decide what core value levers to press on, and you have to go on for the ride and you hang on to dear life because yours is not stable and this thing has no control and you don't want it, and basically you're hanging on this that's been spinning around and you basically get a whirlwind of this where, I mean, you think about living a life in that state. This is what I think, to me, in my mind, it's a perfect analogy to what I see in the corporate world. Our society today is we are completely off angle of our existence because we have no idea what to do, and we are so afraid to let go of this corporate disc to explore our own, right? Because we're hanging and it's spinning because who knows what, right? And then you don't want to fall down to oblivion, so you hang on and you suffer the stress and the endure, and like you endure the suck of these maniac of a gigantic disc that everybody's on. And to me,
that nobody wants to be on
chaotic. It becomes chaotic because who's controlling the big disc? It's a bunch of people.
There was a few people that started it that was very much in alignment with that disc. And then
when you start people adding people on, right, they're going to influence what levers of core value you want to press.
Well, that's why founders leave the business, because eventually, like, shit gets all unaligned with their own original vision, and they're like, this is not what I wanted. This is never what I wanted. I'm done with this. I'm exiting. I'm selling it, whatever. I mean, this happens all the time with like founders of a business where they're like, I don't even align anymore to my own creation, like it's its own entity. And now like it's just, I totally agree with you. And like you made me think about my recent trip to Atlanta for a sales kickoff that we did. This is my lesson I gave to my team last Friday in our weekly L10 meeting, if you will, just piggybacking on yesterday. I don't call it L10, but that's kind of what we're doing. I have like this little coaching corner, thing that I give like one of my YOML lessons essentially from it. We talk through this stuff. And that lesson that week actually was about, I give them all like their first things first time, and they all love it. They're young in their careers. They're trying to figure this stuff out. They want to be successful on this corporate disc, but at the same time, like I'm trying to tell them, don't forget who you are. And make sure you own that. Always carry that with you no matter where you are, because that is what matters at the end of the day. You'll actually be in better alignment with the corporate disc if you're in better alignment with yourself, in my opinion. Our vision for you and I is we want to bring this all together. Let's bring this all together into one so you don't have to feel like you're living in two worlds. But even now, with the current state of living in two worlds, I asked them all after, because they had a hectic 4 days. From start to finish, wake up, you're in a, offsite, you're in a hotel. Like, there's drinks every night, there's dinners every night, there's all day long meetings all day long. Like you're constantly go, 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 and then go to this event, then go to the next thing, go to this event, go to this training session, go to this, all day long you're doing stuff, right? Like there is no time for you. There's hardly any damn time to call your family, let alone make any time for yourself. So, and like I said, I give them their first things first time. So me personally, I'm up at 8 o'clock or whatever is when we all had to go have like a breakfast as a company and be in the rooms. And then, I knew I was going to be out late at night or whatever. When everybody else wanted to keep going out, I'm like, I'm going to go back to the room, like, because I know I got to get up at like 5 a.m. because I got to do my own first things first. Even though I'm on their ride, I'm still going to make sure that I do my ride. So I'm in the gym, getting my run in with Amelia because I can't go run outside. It was a really shitty day, like every day we were down there. So I have to get this. I gotta get my run in with Amelia. I'm listening to a book. I'm doing my reflection, writing my YOML in the hotel room. I feel centered going into these meetings, and I'm okay with it. And then I can handle the rest of the day. Like I can jump on that other disc and handle the rest of the day.
Right.
Exactly. So, but I asked them all, because I'm a pro at this now. Like Amelia and I know how to maintain balance in our life, and no matter what's thrown at. Like right now, we're meeting at 3 p.m. because we had something else that was going on. This isn't our normal time, but we also know this is important, and we don't want to. We could have easily just said, fuck it for tonight, But no, this is important. Like I carved out time in my day. You carved out time in your day to make sure that we were able to have this conversation. So
But
I
the thing
asked
is,
them.
you think about it, right? What we do nowadays, it's effortless. Just like you're talking about, like a kid walking, right? In the beginning, it's hard for him to maintain balance in walking. And for us, once we have enough training, right, to get up and walk together and run, it's so easy.
Right.
It is like
it's just
we don't think
life.
about it. Right. So when you think about how we just meet every day, and if you are have something priority to do, for us to find something, a time together or whatever, it's effortless. I don't even think about it. I just okay, I have this open. Let's go.
We have to find a time because this is an important part to stay balanced for ourselves, right? Like it's not even a question.
You know how like you can do it, but it bothers you because it shifted your schedules, right?
Right.
Or it's like so it's one of those things where I don't even think about it. You think about it, right? You get to the point where you don't think about it. Let's say you hey, Chris, can go grab me that cup over there, right? You just walk. You wake up, you just get up and you walk over there.
Right.
You didn't even think, oh, I need to get up, I need to maintain balance, I need to walk, right? That's what we're doing. Is when we have enough training with this, is whatever comes to us, like we just grab it and just like
your elephant is trained.
We basically are the masters of these whatever comes at us.
Right.
We just do Tai Chi on it, push it back to the world. It's like, hey, nothing to it. I don't want to think about it. It's not even beyond the point that we could handle it. We just acted without even like having to think about, having the ability to say, that crosses my mind. So for me, it doesn't even cross my mind that it's changed. I just say, oh, today is I just get on.
Right.
And we move forward with whatever it is. So without having to be conscious of thinking about, and to me, that's at another level. And I think if we can create the ability for the members of company to get to that level, right? Wherever they go, whether that's corporate or companies,
you can find balance anywhere. Yeah, right.
They can adjust it without making a sweat. Because
true, like you're so spot on. That was what I was getting at with them. Was so at the end of that week, my elephant is trained. I do this stuff for Amelia. I know what's important to me. I know what I need to do to stay balanced in my life as of today, right? And to honor my mission with her. So I asked them all in our team meeting. That was my coaching. I was explaining this, and they're new to this world. And I asked them all, I was like, how many of you guys were able to do your first things first this week? Because I know how chaotic. On Thursday, after so we had 3 days of that other stuff. Go, right? Like just constant nonstop action. Then on Thursday, they had to go fly to New York for a conference. So they were all at a conference that next day. So they didn't really, then Friday is our team meetings that we have when we were having this. I was like, just out of curiosity, how many of you guys Monday through Thursday were able to do your first things first? Because every single day when they're normally at home, it's always a thumbs up where they get their first things first done. Right. And I was like, I'm just curious, like, cause I know it was a tough week. Like how many of you guys were able to do that? None of them were able to do it. And I was like, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but I also, and
I mean, you think about your kid, right?
Yeah.
I mean, a kid, you ask him to, hey, get up and walk. Well, he's going to like grab along the sofa, and then you tell him to put it on the street for him to walk. He doesn't walk, right? He has to be trained more and more. And that's going to be like that for everyone, because no one is going to be able to take what they have. When you're home, you're able to do the first things first because you were kind of on this training wheel, right? Where you're getting to the point where I can do this because I carve out a schedule. What happens when something different things different.
Big
Like,
wrench gets thrown into your
I mean,
your
you think
shit,
about
you
it.
know?
When you put a kid
Yeah.
in his room, right? He walks because he knows everything. Then you put it out on the street. There's people walking. There's dogs walking. There's a wind. There's dust. There's like leaves everywhere. These are things that is going to be the things that it's outside the real world. And
Right.
yeah, at home a kid can walk, but then outside he won't be able to walk because there's so many different things that's going to affect him, influence the way he's gonna perform. But eventually, that kid learns how to walk, and then went outside and walk. You and I walk. Like I say, if a kid has all his faculties, all the kids has able to successfully learn how to walk,
Yeah.
whether that's inside, in the street,
And
on the
rock climbing,
mountain, right? But I'm
right.
saying it's 100% success rate. And that's what I'm saying is if you take the same concept as, yeah, the guys that you're mentoring, they can't do the stuff because they have confidence and stuff because they haven't get adjusted to doing that. But once they master the level that you need to master, they're going to go up to the next level where any place, any time, they can do the first thing first without even thinking. They say, hey, I'm at this completely like remote area where there's nothing, blah, 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 right? For whatever reason, once you have been trained, you just automatically know how what to do and you can do the things that matters to you. And that first thing first becomes like effortless.
It's your elephant is now
been
it's now a
trained.
part of your elephant, right? Like and like I mean, hell, you think about our journey together. I mean, think about all the things. I can only speak for my own side of the house because I'm like I can't even detail how many crazy things have happened in the past, multiple years of my life where like the only constant has been this stuff, right? Of finding like how to walk in the mountain ranges, versus whatever. I mean, whether it be in the hospital, like with Luca in the NICU for 92 days, still able to figure this thing out. Whether it be moving,
That's
my
where
furnace going
this
out,
is where I
AC,
call balance because you're
right?
able to do that, right?
You
Because you
find it
think
wherever you
about it,
are.
if somebody's pushing you over, right? And if you're the baby, what happens to you? You fall. But if I
Right,
push you over, what happened? You're not gonna fall. And that's the act, right? The
right.
balance is an act because you have the ability to adjust with whatever comes at you. So you would look at in the NICU, right? For 92 days, you still able to do the things, you able to hold yourself up and center yourself. To
Right.
me, that's a level of balance. The meaning of balance means to me right now versus what we thought what balance was in the beginning when we started this journey together.
For sure. I mean, like 1,000% agree. And I mean, I'm just thinking through other scenarios. I mean, how many times have I been sick on this journey? Because like Luca gets sick all the time. Like, how many times have I been sick? How many times did we've done these things when we've traveled? We've done these things when we're, when my AC and my furnace went out 2 different times over the course of the past year, and I'm living in my parents' house and we're living out of a suitcase every single day. I could go on and on and on of all the different scenarios of life because people would go, well, how that's not possible. Life happens. Yes.
Like I said, you go out into the real world, there's gonna be things that you don't expect.
Exactly.
I mean, you go to the market, there's a bunch of people, right? So it's like if you don't know how to walk and you can't maintain your own physical balance, right? Just take that analogy, physical balance, right?
Yeah.
People are gonna brush over you, people are gonna, maybe push you over a little bit, right?
Like,
Are you gonna fall? No,
right.
you can just adjust and you move over. That's the beauty of it. It's not like, oh, it's impossible because so many variables, so many things is influence you. You can't maintain your stance as a two-legged person.
It's such a good
I
analogy,
don't
honestly.
see anyone go out to the market, right, with a bunch of people, especially like New Year's or Christmas, a bunch of people at a concert, and suddenly everybody's falling down, like a domino effect of people falling down. I was like, I don't see that because everybody is on their own disc and they're adjusting their balance. Because, and if you have the mentality of saying, it's not possible because life happens, but well, you're never gonna get trained to the certain level of being able to walk because you think about it, being able to stand right on 2 feet is a monumentous feat alone.
I agree. Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
I mean, most there are so many muscles in your leg and so many faculties inside of your body. It is working to make sure you stand up.
Right.
And that's a lot of work, right? But your body has been trained and it's able to do that without even you conscious. You're not even conscious of it. Hey, Chris, go grab me that glass. You don't think about the thing you need to do to get up, maintain balance,
Right.
Put your one step forward, and like you don't think about it. Just get up. The only thing you think about, hey, that's a cup you're looking for. The only thing you're thinking, hey, why did True want a cup? So if you take the same concept as once you train the elephant to say, I'm on this life balance disc, and
Right.
you get to that level, you don't even have to think about it. And life happens is minor. I mean, you don't even think about it. I mean, something could fly at you, like maybe like a bird fly at you. You're not gonna fall flat in your face.
Right.
You think about it. Even if
Yeah.
a bird right comes down and say, "Hey, I saw he's holding a piece of bread. I'm gonna swoop down, whatever." You duck, right, or what you do, whatever, automatically, and you
It's
didn't.
I mean, it's a fantastic analogy, and all I can keep thinking about in my head is Luca and watching him learn how to walk. You're right. Every time that he goes somewhere new, he just falls flat on his face, because it's new. Like he hits a curb, he falls on his face. He has to go step over this thing when he's outside. He's walking on mulch, at the playground. He falls on his face. Like he's on the rubber stuff, falls on his face. He just doesn't understand different textures, different whatever, things that we just innately like it's part of our elephant. I mean, it's a really good analogy. I mean, because you're right. Like, I mean, he's got to fall a million different times and see a lot of different scenarios thrown at him for his elephant to be able to say, like, I don't even think about this stuff anymore. It makes me think about tennis. I heard a quote recently from the book that I'm reading that I wanted to make into a reflection, but I don't think I'm going to, but it's still a really good quote. You don't watch a magician if you want to learn how to do magic. Like, you can't watch somebody doing parkour up a mountain if you're Luca and go, oh yeah, no, I understand how he did that. Like he can't do it. You got to keep falling down, a million different times. Like you got to figure out how to do the magic. You know what I mean? Like you can't like the what I was just describing with my team that I was giving them the coach's corner, I guess if you will, analogy. Like I know how to do the magic now. Amelia taught me. We've been doing this now together. This is a part of how we maintain a balanced life together. I know how to do the magic. I can't teach you how I did what I did. I can give you the blueprint. Sure, anybody can say, Luca, yeah, anybody can do parkour up a mountain. All you got to do is do this, this, and this. Like but that's not it. You don't watch a magician to learn how to do magic. If you did, you're gonna go, I don't understand any of what you just did. Like, and I can't even begin to fathom how, like, if Luca was watching parkour, like, he'd be like, what the fuck? Like, how do I get to do that? I mean, there's no way possible he could ever comprehend it.
And the beauty of it is you think about how much training, how much effort, how many things is working in unison for us to even stand up, right? Just to stand up. That is so much effort. But the beauty of it is that I'm telling you right now, if you're not like disabled or whatever the case where you lack the faculty, 100% of all the billions of people that's ever lived on Earth was able to walk.
Agreed.
That means that when you tell me that life happens and I can't do first things first, I give you that scenario. Right? If you have all your faculties, even with a tremendous amount of effort to achieve this one thing, to physically balance yourself, right? 100% of the time, 100 out of 100, people walk. Billions of people. So that means that when you're telling me that life happens, it's just your mental state. You just refuse to do the work. You refuse to do the training. But I guarantee you, the training that you do for the for the balance of the first things first is so much simpler than for your body and for you and your brain to be trained to stand up.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
I mean, you take that and marinate it for a second and think about, yeah, because the thing is, I'm saying is, if you think you can't, you're right. If you think you can, you're also right.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with you. I think this has been a really fun. That's why I love these. I'm sure you feel the same. This is exactly.
Yeah, I'm eating frogs for the past 2.5 years, dude. I hate this, fucking thing. I mean, to go and talk to you one-on-one. I mean, I'm eating frog, and I'm getting paid like nothing, and I'm
nothing. Yeah, we're gonna. Yeah, no, that's hilarious.
I mean,
no, these are really fun because it just opens up your. it always is great to don't do it alone, right? Like, I mean, that's one of the core values, right? Like, and this is a part of the reason why we do this, So no, I think this has been a great discussion. I mean, I feel good, very fulfilled after this one. Because
Yeah,
balance
yeah.
is an important topic, but I think I learned a lot today. So thank
Me
you
too.
for your perspective. I think that was good. Any final thoughts you wanted to add before we jump?
Yeah, I want to drive home the fact that, if you train your elephant will be able to learn whatever it is. Whether that, you think, because everybody say this is impossible. Work-life balance or whatever you want to call it is impossible. It's not impossible because I just give you an example of all the humans has
Right.
ever lived, right? Has able to walk successfully 100% of the time. Not even 99.99%. It's 100%. I mean, given that they have all the faculties, meaning like you're not born with no legs or whatever. But yeah, think about it.
I agree.
I leave you
What
with that.
what you just left me with was another idea. I have to say it
That's the
now.
point.
I know. So I have to say this now because like Clubany of what we're trying to build is, I like to think of it as we're designing an ecosystem where people can walk easier. It's hard to do work-life balance in the ecosystem that you're in right now because it's like climbing a mountain. You got to do parkour up a mountain. But what if you could build a city, flatten it all out, pave every road? It's a lot easier to go walk in that city, right? That's why we build these things.
It's a ground. It's a
It's a
training ground
training.
for you to know how to walk. Because if you basically take a kid into rocky surface or whatever, all the rock, I mean, for him to even walk, right, it's going to be very, very painful. He's going to fall. He's going to hit his head. He's going to scrapes everywhere, right? You think
Gonna
about
suck.
that's the society we're at
Right.
because you are hanging on to this corporate destiny life as it spins around, as it's tilting up and down. It's chaotic. How could you ever going to have a pleasant training experience from that kind of environment? So company gets to the point where they say, look, this is where we say, hey, you start with this flat ground where you can just stand, okay, see how long you can stand, do first things first, right?
Right.
Do it at home. And then once you do that at home for like 3 months, and then you say, hey, let's do it once, when you go traveling and see if you can do it, right? So we are actually it's a training ground for you to being able to walk without having this completely painful experience of learning how to walk yourself. That's why, I mean, you don't put Luca on these completely rocky and uneven terrains in the mountains somewhere where there's a bunch of obstacles. You don't.
I would never
you
do
don't,
that. It's insane.
That's an
It is. No, you're right. It's really hard to try to bring yourself. That's the whole story in this book was like that I was given the analogy of. It's really hard to bring yourself into that corporate environment because it's not the norm. Like it should be, but it's not. And you're a counterculturalist if you try to buck that trend, you're a weirdo if you try to be yourself and bring yourself out in the work that you do. You're a weirdo. Yes, Luca would be a weirdo if he was, learning how to walk in the Rocky Mountains or something like that, up and climbing boulders or whatever. Like you'd be like, yeah, man, like that's not what we do here. Like, because that's stupid. Like, and I agree. Like, it is stupid to try to do that in this world. That's why we're trying to build a world where it is easier. So I had to leave with that. Because you bring the walking analogy is such a good analogy, and we just give people an easier place to walk in, like, and eventually they can train their elephants in that place. So I love it. That's a great mental visual that I can walk away with from today. Yeah, the question we can leave with you all is, what does balance mean to you? Let us know what you think, and if you have any comments, let us know, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Good night. Good afternoon.